Hello, my name is Corinne from the North Wildford Library with Lakeland Library Region, and welcome to episode 32 of Boredom Busters! So glad that my technology problems from last week have resolved themselves. So if you've been watching for a while, or if you know me in real life, you might know that I have a little bit of a sweet tooth, but I am trying to be a bit healthier this year. So today I'm going to show you how I've adapted an old family favorite into something a little bit healthier. This video is going to be stuffed apple crisp. So rather than cutting up a bunch of apples and putting a crunchy topping on top, we're going to core the apples and put the crunchy topping inside. Let's get started. What you'll need for today: 4 apples, 6 tablespoons of brown sugar, a 1/4 cup of flour, 6 tablespoons of rolled oats, and a 1/4 cup of room temperature butter. For added flavor, you might want to add a pinch of nutmeg and or cinnamon for your toppings, but I forgot it at home, so we're not going to do this. Something else you can do to add a little bit of flavor, if you don't have like regular rolled oats, but you have the packets of instant oatmeal, they work really well in this too. It is so good. For supplies, you're going to need either an apple core, which I have because I find it the easiest, or a melon baller, or a small knife and a spoon. One of those things. This I just find is the easiest. A mixing bowl, and a small oven-safe pan. My husband was helping me gather things for this, and he was like, "Oh, what about the cupcake tin?" And I'm like, "You're a genius." I know his sisters who watch this won't agree with me, but start off by preheating your oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. While the oven is preheating, we're going to start coring our apples. So if you have the apple core, again, it's the easiest, but because the core will take out the bottom of the apple, you're going to have to make your top hole a little bit bigger, so I'll show you. So I'm lining this, actually, we'll go from the bottom, line it up and just kind of go in. And we've got this, I can get it, see? Cord. And then once I get this out, hang on. I'm just gonna make this top part a little bigger. I'm not going all the way down to the bottom so that I can use some of this stuff to fill in the bottom. See? You can't quite see through it as easily anymore. And then when it's done in that, you're gonna stick it into here. So do that to all of your apples. If you're coring the apple with a melon baller, you're making the hole as you go, so it is a little bit easier to make the top wider to shove into the center, but go. Just shove that down into the bottom so that your crispy topping doesn't come out. So once you've gotten the core out, we've set it aside, and we'll get started now on the crisp mixture. So something I had said for coring the apples is if you don't have an apple core or a melon baller, you use a knife and a spoon. So basically what you're doing is you're just kind of going to take the knife and just carefully cut around the top here. And then you're going to take the spoon to like try and get out all of the central core, hopefully without making your hole too big. So kind of like that, and then you take this and cut around it again. And then you take the spoon and try and take a little bit more out. And as you can see, we're kind of losing some side bits here. And then you take the knife again. Or you can take the knife from the bottom to get this bottom section out. Carefully cut it out. So you've got a little bit more of a jagged hole, and then you kind of take this little bit from before that you had cut out, pull the stem out of it, or cut it out, I guess. And then you kind of shove that into the bottom. So it kind of works, especially if you don't have the, actual apple core, but it is definitely harder to do. So something to keep in mind. So we're gonna measure our oats. So that again is a 6 tablespoons of oats. And a 1/4 of a cup of flour. And 6 tablespoons of brown sugar. And then combine that well. Don't worry if you have lumps with your brown sugar, because we're gonna get in there with our hands as well once we add the butter in. So it's well mixed. This is also when you would add your cinnamon and nutmeg if you were going to add some extra spices to this. I'm just going to take off my rings quickly. All right. And then we're just going to kind of cube this in little parts. Not. And now take your fingers and kind of mush it together until your mixture is all crumbly. This is why you need your butter, to be room temperature. Otherwise it won't break up and go into crisps. This was always my favorite part when I was a kid, because my mom would help me wash my hands or make sure that my hands were washed really well, and then cut in the butter and then I just got to make a mess. So you just kind of want to keep mixing this until everything is nice and all mixed together and really crumbly. Okay, so you see how it's kind of all in a lump? My butter might be a little bit too warm. Oh well, this kind of works better for doing it into the apples. So what you want to do now is kind of split this into 4 equal parts, or mostly equal parts. I think I messed up. I think I was only supposed to do 6 tablespoons of butter, not a 1/4 cup of butter. Because it should not look like this. So I'm gonna go through and double everything else. So I'm gonna be making more apple crisp, because this is not right. So what actually happened is I measured my butter wrong, and so I had a 1/2 cup instead of 1/4 cup. So I doubled my apples, brown sugar, and oats. I didn't actually film me remixing everything though. So now it's much more crumbly. So as you can see, it's... And what we're gonna do with this is just stuff it into your apples. Put this over. And it doesn't quite all fit, so you kind of want to have a little bit on top and around it as well. And I've got to finish coring all my apples. So we're just going to do this real quick, like. All right, so my apples were a little bit smaller. That's why normally you would do this with just 4. And you know, if I had done my math correctly on the first part. So now we're gonna bake these for 30 minutes at 350 degrees Fahrenheit. And enjoy. Now, in my opinion, this is best served when it's still nice and warm, and then you put either a scoop of vanilla ice cream on top, or you go really fancy and you drizzle either caramel or melted white chocolate on top. But this is also really good when it's like cold or like the second day. Parents might not agree with me, but I mean, it's kind of like a breakfast too, because I mean, you've got an apple, you've got oatmeal, maybe it's a little bit heavy-handed on the sugar. That's up to your family. I hope everyone has a great rest of your day and you stay safe out there. See you next time. Bye.